They say some places vanish from maps for a reason darker than time, older than memory. Some villages are not forgotten, they are cursed. Welcome to Darkhaven, where tonight we uncover the chilling tale of a village erased by fire, bound forever to the spirit of a witch who refused to die. In the heart of the countryside, hidden between dense forests and crooked hills, lies a place you will not find on any modern map. It is a place spoken about only in whispers, a place where even the wind seems unwilling to linger. Some call it Blackwood Hollow. Others simply call it the Cursed Village. Many centuries ago, in the year 1632, the village was alive with chatter, livestock, and laughter. But the happiness of its people was fragile, for fear ruled every shadow. It was the age of suspicion, when the sight of a crooked figure or the whisper of strange herbs could damn a woman's soul forever. And in Blackwood Hollow lived a woman named Elspeth. She was no ordinary villager. She was a healer, a midwife, a woman who understood herbs better than the men of the church liked. When crops failed, when cattle died, when children sickened, suspicion grew heavy in the air. And soon, the whisper of witch turned into a roar. The villagers dragged Elspeth from her cottage one moonless night. They said she had cursed their fields. They said she had stolen the souls of newborns. They said she had danced with shadows in the woods. And though none of it was true, truth mattered little in a time when fear was more powerful than evidence. At the center of the village, on a rough wooden stake, they bound her hands with rope and tied her to the pyre. The crowd chanted prayers, but their eyes were wild. As the flames licked her skin and smoke rose to the heavens, Elspeth cried out words that would forever scar the land. "If you cast me to the fire, I shall not leave. None of you will leave. Your children, your children's children. All who walk this soil shall carry my curse. This village will never know peace. Your souls will burn with me." The flames devoured her body, but her voice carried through the crackling fire and into the bones of the villagers. And then there was silence. When the smoke cleared, nothing was left but ash and the charred remains of the stake. From that day forward, Blackwood Hollow began to rot. Harvests spoiled, wells turned bitter, livestock were found dead in their pens. The villagers dwindled, one by one, until the place was abandoned entirely. Roads that once led into the village became overgrown. Maps erased its name. And yet, the stories lingered. Generations passed, but hunters and travelers still spoke of strange lights glowing in the hollow. They spoke of screams that echoed at night, and of shadows that moved even when there was no torch to cast them. Parents warned their children never to wander too deep into the woods. And still, some did. Few returned unchanged. In our time, when superstition is laughed at, the village is nothing more than a rumor, a curiosity for urban explorers and ghost hunters. And so, one autumn evening, a group of 4 friends set out to find it. They were not afraid. They had cameras, phones, and flashlights. They told each other it would make a perfect video, something thrilling for their online channel. They followed an old dirt road until the trees grew so thick that sunlight disappeared. When they stepped into the hollow, the world fell silent. No birds, no wind, only the crunch of dead leaves beneath their boots. The village stood in ruin. Crumbling cottages leaned against each other like broken teeth. A church, long collapsed, sagged beneath the weight of ivy and rot. In the center of the square stood the blackened stake, charred as though the fire had burned yesterday. One of them laughed nervously and reached out to touch the wood. It was warm, warmer than it should have been on a cold autumn night. They brushed it off as imagination, though unease settled in their stomachs. As they explored, strange things began to happen. Footsteps echoed behind them, though no one was there. Whispers floated through the air, soft and accusing. One friend swore he saw a face peering from a cottage window, though the building was empty. Another found a child's toy, a doll with its head missing, resting in the dirt. The sun sank quickly, and shadows lengthened across the village. One of them suggested leaving, but the others refused. They wanted to stay until midnight, convinced something would happen. The air grew heavier. Their flashlights flickered. The silence deepened into something oppressive, suffocating. Then, without warning, the church bell rang. Its rusted frame should not have been able to move, and yet the sound echoed through the hollow, deep and mournful. The friends froze. Their breath grew shallow. One whispered, "Did you hear that?" But the others could not answer, for in the square stood a figure. She was tall, draped in tattered garments blackened by soot. Her skin was charred, cracked, and still glowing faintly, as though embers lived beneath it. Her eyes were hollow, yet within them burned a hatred that had never died. She was Elspeth, the witch who had returned. The friends turned to run, but the village no longer obeyed the laws of the living. Streets bent into themselves. Doors opened into darkness. Every path led back to the square, to the witch, who stood closer each time they looked. She called them by name, one by one, names they had not spoken aloud. She whispered their secrets, things no one else could have known. She told one of them that he still dreamed of his dead mother's voice. She told another that he had thought of ending his life. She told the last that he feared dying alone. With every word, their courage crumbled. One of them screamed and bolted into a cottage. The others followed, only to find him standing still, staring into the fireplace. His body convulsed, and he collapsed, choking on invisible smoke. When they pulled him away, his skin blistered as though touched by flame. He looked into their eyes and whispered, "I saw her burning." Then he stopped breathing. Panic gripped the survivors. They ran for the woods, but the trees closed in, twisting into a maze. The night stretched endlessly, time bleeding into itself. No matter how far they ran, the church bell kept tolling, closer and closer. At last, only one remained. Exhausted, trembling, they stumbled into the village square again. Elspeth stood at the stake, her body bound as it had been centuries ago. But this time, the ropes burned red hot. Her voice filled the hollow. "Did you think I would rest? Did you think my curse would fade? This soil drinks my hate. This air carries my fire. And you, like the others, will never leave." The last explorer collapsed to the ground, sobbing as flames erupted from the stake once more. The witch's figure blurred into smoke and shadow, and the square filled with the screams of hundreds, the voices of the villagers, burning again and again, trapped in eternal torment. When dawn broke, the village was silent. There was no sign of the explorers. Only the blackened stake remained, warm to the touch. Weeks later, in a distant city, a woman woke from a nightmare. She staggered to the mirror, splashing water on her face, and as the water dripped, she froze. Her reflection did not match her movements. The figure in the glass was burned, charred, and smiling. The curse had followed her. Elspeth's fire had found a new vessel. The witch had returned, and so the legend endures. A village erased from maps, but never from memory. A stake still standing against time. A witch whose hatred burned brighter than the flames that consumed her. If you should ever find yourself wandering deep into the forest, and the air grows still, and the birds fall silent, turn back. For once you step into Blackwood Hollow, you will not walk out the same. The witch waits still, her curse reaching beyond the hollow, beyond the trees, beyond death itself. And when you hear the toll of a bell where no church stands, know that Elspeth has chosen you.